Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 best NHL prospects in 2020. Now today, for the last video of 2019, I wanted to rank my top 10 best NHL prospects throughout the league heading into 2020. Now for my list here today, which prospects end up making my top 10 and who do I see as the best prospects right now in the NHL? Watch till the end for all my picks, and of course, subscribe if you're new. Now to clarify before we get into this is a ranking of NHL affiliated prospects, guys who have already been drafted. So you won't see Alexi Lafreniere, no Quinton Byfield yet. These are my rankings of guys who have already been drafted to NHL teams. But starting us out today with my 10th best prospect heading into 2020, I'm going to go with Red Wings prospect Filip Zadina. Now, Zadina has a very interesting career thus far. He's been labeled as a bust, but right now I think he's proving some people wrong in the NHL with the Red Wings and is starting to finally get that label of a bust off his shoulder. Now, earlier this season, he really did start to worry me. He was really slow throughout the first few games in the AHL, but he really started to pick it up, and again, got a big call to the Red Wings, where in 15 games, he's been able to get 9 points so far. I'm not saying he's a clear, bona fide first liner, and he's going to be, but he's making some pretty nice progression. And after, again, the slow start he had earlier this year, to even crack the top 10 once again, I think is a miracle. But I still think he has a lot of talent in him, and will become one of Detroit's best players, which is not saying too much, but still. Now going to my 9th best prospect in 2020, I'm now going to go to another Red Wings prospect, that being Moritz Seider. Now the German defenseman has been rising up my rankings. For my final prospect rankings in 2019, I had him as the 15th best prospect. But of course, he went 6th overall, surprised everybody, and right now for Detroit is looking like an actually pretty great pick. Now the jury is still out, he hasn't even set foot in the NHL, but Moritz Seider has had about as successful of a season as you could hope for a guy like that. Came into the AHL system for the Grand Rapids Griffins and was pretty great, having 12 points in 28 games and looking very mature for his age, and then with this year's World Juniors team for Team Germany, being the captain and being the main leader. He likely will be the main defenseman for Detroit in not too long and could be in the NHL as soon as this season. I think it could be that early, even if Detroit decides to be patient with him. He has the talent, all the talent in the world, and so far he's been proving that at every single level. Now heading on into my 8th best prospect in 2020, gonna go to my only goalie in my top 10, that being Rangers prospect Igor Shesterkin. Now Shesterkin has had a crazy career up to this point, but at age 24, after dominating the KHL for years, has now come into the Rangers AHL system and has been good, if not better, and has been absolutely fantastic thus far. Now the 6'1" Russian goalie has been straight great for the Hartford Wolfpack. In 21 games has gotten a 1.98 goals against average and a .932 save percentage. Now the guy is 24, but transitioning from the KHL to North America is not an easy thing, but so far he's been able to do that wonderfully, putting up way better numbers than Samsonov did when he came over to the AHL, and right now he's looking like the future for the Washington Capitals. Right now it looks like Shesterkin will be the next guy after Henrik Lundqvist and will be the next amazing starter for New York. Now heading on into my 7th best prospect going into 2020, and I'm going to go with Avalanche defenseman Bowen Byram. Now Bowen Byram I think should be higher, but at the same time, this season has not been all that great for him. In the WHL to start out, he hasn't been as dominant as he was last year in his draft year. And in the World Juniors, he's just kind of been there for Team Canada. Not being bad, but not being good either. But I wouldn't let those stats really fool you yet, because again, he is still 18 years old, and he still has amazing future ahead of him. For Colorado, he is their best prospect, now with Cale Makar matured, graduated to the NHL level. Bowen Byram is the guy that looks to be the next guy up on that. And I think it will take some more time now, especially compared to what we thought maybe a year ago. But Bowen Byram is still one of the better and best prospects in the game, especially when it comes to defensemen. And now moving on to my 6th best prospect, now going into 2020, I'm going to go with Flyers prospect Morgan Frost. Now, Morgan Frost, I think at age 20, is at that point where he's kind of a fringe NHL player, where he's good in the NHL, but also could use some more AHL seasoning. But to be honest, he's been good with both the Flyers and the Phantoms in the NHL and the AHL, but obviously has a great future as a big offensive outputter for Philly. Now, the Canadian center, 18 games in the NHL, got 7 points, that being with pretty limited minutes. Same thing going with the AHL, where he got more minutes, but a lot bigger of an opportunity, and he played better as well in 16 games, getting 12 points overall. And those production numbers are pretty solid, especially for a 20-year-old. That is not bad whatsoever. And when you factor in the skill that Morgan Frost can bring, he has a lot of it. And for Philly, it'll take some time to really get up to that elite level, but I think it can, especially factoring into the power play and that forward group. Seeing him play with Travis Konechny and Claude Giroux was already a treat enough to start out the year, but that will be a mainstay throughout his career years in Philadelphia and will be that way throughout the next decade. Now, going into the halfway point, and for my 5th best prospect heading into 2020 in hockey, I'm going to go with Anaheim Ducks first rounder Trevor Zegras. Now, Trevor Zegras has been proving everybody wrong besides the Anaheim Ducks so far this season, being dominant in the NCAA so far at Boston University and being one of the best players in general at the World Juniors this year. I personally was very high on him in the 2019 draft. I think I have him as the 5th best prospect, and the Anaheim Ducks, getting him at 9th overall, have pretty much gotten their steal of the decade this season. Now, as a guy that prioritizes speed, skill, and energizing play in players, Trevor Zegras brings all of that. He's one of the most creative players that I personally have ever seen, and he's playing in college right now and proving that so far with USA in the World Juniors. Has 9 assists, primary assists, I think all of them are, in 5 games thus far, and I think for the future with Anaheim, he is their guy. They have some amazing prospects right now that are solid, like Sam Steele, Maxime Comtois, Troy Terry, but Trevor Zegras really is the guy there and will lead that group to the promised land. Now, going on to my last defenseman in the top 10 and going to my 4th best prospect in 2020, I'm going to go Blackhawks defenseman Adam Boqvist. Now, Boqvist, I think, is in a similar situation to Morgan Frost, where he's kind of that fringe NHL player, but right now is choosing to get seasoning with the Rockford IceHogs in the AHL. Now, between Zegras and Boqvist, honestly, there wasn't that big of a gap, but when it comes to amazing skilled defensemen, young guys in the NHL, Boqvist is really the next guy to come up. And when he does get that full-time job with Chicago, a lot of other defenses better watch out. Now, Boqvist is a prospect that I've loved for a very, very long time, so obviously I have some bias there. But when it comes to Boqvist, he brings everything you'd want. Skill, amazing offensive ability, with some solid defensive skills that, going up to the NHL, were not bad whatsoever, with a Chicago defense that was not good whatsoever. He's a guy that I think could be the saving grace for that Chicago defense, at offense, at defense, and basically in everything. And now going on to the 3rd best prospect heading into 2020, gonna go with Habs sniper Cole Caufield. Now, Cole Caufield was basically an inevitability on this list, and rightfully so, being one of the best prospects in hockey right now. Now, he was straight brilliant if the Wisconsin Badgers to start out this season, and he was a little bit slow in the World Juniors, and he hasn't been as good as I thought he would be, but he got that overtime goal versus the Czech Republic, and now the sky is basically the limit. Now he has the confidence, now he has the momentum, and all the other defense in that tournament now have to watch out for him. Now, I equate his World Juniors struggles really to him not having the greatest teammates and not getting the biggest ice time. But looking towards the more sample size with him in the NCAA, where he's been over a point per game, there's a lot of evidence that he has been absolutely fantastic, and I think that's been the case. When it comes to a guy like Caufield being so dominant at age 18 in the NCAA, that usually doesn't happen too often. But Cole Caufield in that department is kind of proving himself as a guy who can play without a guy like Jack Hughes. Now, to be fair, he has a guy like Alex Turcotte and Keandre Miller who are now with him at Team USA, but he is a sniper, he is a point scorer, and he is an amazing offensive guy that will be a gift for the Montreal Canadiens. And now with Cole Caufield number 3, gonna get into my second best prospect in the NHL in 2020. It was a super close race between 1 and 2, and it was, again, one that I kind of spent like 20 minutes going back and forth on. But for my number 2 pick, I'm gonna go with Alex Turcotte. Now, Alex Turcotte, for context, was my number 3 pick in my rankings in 2019. I love him, I still love him, as I always do, and I still think he's one of the best prospects in hockey. Now, the thing is, he hasn't had as good of a season as Cole Caufield, or even a guy like Trevor Zegras, but the skills and the overall game that he possesses, I still think is one of the best, especially when it comes to prospects right now. But now getting into my number 1. Again, this was way too close between him and Alex Turcotte, but for my best prospect in hockey going into 2020, I have Kirill Kaprizov. Now, the Minnesota Wild 5th round pick in 2015 has been the definition of consistent in the KHL. Has been one of the top scorers there for a very long time and is still super young at age 22. He's a guy that could come into Minnesota as soon as next season, and I think will dominate the NHL in the 2020s. Now, Kaprizov to me is everything you'd want in a prospect and a player. He's a guy that's been amazing in the KHL in the past few years, and at age 22, I think if he comes into the NHL today, I think would absolutely dominate. Now, it all depends on how Minnesota handles him, if they're able to sign him to a contract and actually get him on the team. But if they do end up doing that, I think he'd be a rejuvenation for them. He'd be exciting, fun to watch, and really freaking good. When it comes to overall NHL readiness and amazing skill, Kaprizov is the best out there. But of course, with my picks here today, I need to hear y'all's thoughts down in those comments down below. Let me know what you think about my 10 picks, my top 10 best prospects in 2020, what you agree and disagree with, and of course the question on to y'all. Who do you think are the best prospects heading into 2020? I know, it's crazy. The friggin' decade is almost here. It's insane. But if you guys do want some more Grav videos just like this one, y'all should click on this card right here to watch my December 2020 NHL mock draft and my top 15 prospect rankings. But that'll be it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts on my picks. What do you agree, disagree with, and let me know your thoughts as well and your picks too. Share this video with your friends. Get the word out there, boys, about my 10 picks and the best prospects in hockey right now. My name is Nathan, and I'll see y'all next video or stream. Goodbye.